I'm on YouTube. Brian's. Okay. So basically, I came across today. Came across a debate happened jumper platforms. No jumper against. There's a guy on Twitter who I do follow. The white dude. His name's I Hypocrite. Fairly popular. 1,000 followers. And there's a black guy on No Jumper. It's kind of new. I've never seen him. And they called him conservative. So they had the black dude who's a conservative debate the white guy, basically about race relations, the race, just the race aspect of in this country, and where do they believe each one kind of stands. I think obviously with a lot of the things that have happened recently, the girl who got all the money or whatever, black fatigue. As somebody, I didn't just grow up around just black people. I didn't go around just white people. I had a good mix, and really believe I will probably have one of the most balanced takes. I'm already very reasonable and logical and analytical. So feelings and emotions when you're this debate. This is part of what white people are saying. Is that any kind of grace that you did have, that's been cooked. And you have now it they call it like fatigue. They don't like the aspect of black communities seeping in here. It's becoming too regular. Me personally, I've always said black community has issues. They gotta call it. It's gonna be hard to don't have really any masculine men running. The guys who are in the black getting a check from reparations. There's a few guys that are about it. Shout out to King Randall on Twitter. He's a real. He puts pedal to the metal. He puts foot to the concrete. He gets out. He does it himself. Great video of him cooking Roland Martin, which is a black fat meat. Spits the regular established nonsense narratives. So we're gonna watch the show. Let's. Here it is. This is guys. Listen to it for about 5 minutes on the way. This is great content because and this is what usually happens in these instances, like a black and white kind of conversation, especially with an audience, public. There becomes this dynamic where the black individual has kind of it's like a one upper. There's things he can say that the other person is beholden to a vocabulary, specific vocabulary. Black person can make tons of claims, no evidence to back up. It usually goes ad hominem at some point. And if it went the other way, oh shit, shit, oh nigga, you can't do that. This is white people's point. And I've always said this to myself. Like, I don't understand. I don't know why white people take this. I wouldn't be surprised if white people start knocking niggas upside the head. Going mafia style. Fucking niggas up. Yo, yo. I think you're back. That's fun. All right, here we go. So, yo, yo. How long is this shit? Oh shit, it's 2 hours. But I might have to cut this up because that's from what I was hearing. If it continues to go like that, okay, I can't take it. And oh, and also another metric to kind of make the point and drive it home. Go to the comment section. Go to the comment section. Go to the comment section, and what do you see? Okay. Go to the comment section, see what you see, and then you'll realize. But even with that on public display, talking will still say, still yell foul. This is how this is what I mean when we're talking race relations and it's between like a black person and a white person in public. There's as soon as it starts, there's a like a how should we say, like not like a table or like it's basically you guys maybe a seesaw, like a seesaw, where you start at the beginning. As soon as the conversation starts, the black person starts to get a little bit and has a little bit more of an advantage, has a little has plenty of lanes they could go down, right? And the white person isn't afforded that same luxury. This is what white people are talking about. Okay? Yes, they are correct. You can see it in this one. When I was listening to the first couple minutes, I was like, he seems boy seems timid. I think he ain't got no notes. He don't got supposed to be representing your people, bro. You gotta I was like I thought when I first saw it, I was like, is it Fuentes? Because if it no, if it was Fuentes, bro, and he had to debate somebody, we'd end up black people end up slaves again. They we'd come out that debate as slaves. Don't let that white boy, bro. He's a cold white boy. He's smart as shit. And just listen to him talk for 5, 10 minutes, and then you realize, oh, this is why the people feel the way they do about him. Oh, see, look right here. I'm gonna say it, N-word censorship. See, and so this is the thing: is that one case where the girl started yelling the N-word has opened up the Pandora's box. So now, and she made a whole bunch of money. What that tells the white people, what the white community as a whole, like, oh, wait a minute. I think a lot of people, white people, a lot of people are on my side. They feel like, oh, is it? You feel there's a word for that, like agreed, like not satisfied, but yeah. I'm still trying to think. Oh man, this is why a nigga needs a chat. So okay, so let's get to it. Let's get started. So this is I Hypocrite right here. Here's his channel right here. He posted a clip on. This is his PFP, his profile. Damn, he's got 630,000 followers. I would say he's got to be one of the first accounts, like one of the original accounts that I followed on Twitter. Yeah, 2010. 15 years ago. It's crazy. He's got 600,000. So he's a white nationalist, this guy. Let's see. Let's see. You can't even be one now. Like that in itself shows. All right, what's this?
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today, I guess I'm just going to go into the backstory of how this came to be. You were in a little bit of a spat on Twitter with another user by the name of Bryson, right?
Oh,
yeah,
Bryson
Gray.
You guys are going back and forth. I don't know
Christian.
exactly what it was about, but it was proposed that you guys could do a debate of some sort. And you guys were both down. You both agreed to it. And you actually spoke to him. He agreed to come out here. We found out like 2 days ago that in actuality, he did not come out here and he had no plans on coming out here. I'm not sure exactly how that got lost in translation.
I didn't catch this. So he was supposed to debate Bryson. Oh. Now it makes more sense. Gotcha. Okay.
But
Bryson,
I figured this guy right next to me, Brandon, has been making a lot of noise on the channel. Very opinionated guy, very politically involved,
no substance,
aware, etc. And I figured as long as we didn't have our original opponent for you, I might as well see what the chemistry is like here.
Yeah,
okay.
I appreciate it.
So before we start, I want you to listen. Maybe a couple minutes in, start to get a feeling for the atmosphere, not just the vibe, but like the atmosphere and how one or the other is speaking to each other or engaging with one another. See and kind of feel, I'm sure you'll probably feel and sniff out what I'm getting.
Thanks for doing it, man. Nice to meet both of you.
Definitely. And so for our audience, I guess maybe a little bit of a backstory about you and where you're coming from and everything would be appropriate. I guess I found out about you because you have a very provocative Twitter account. I Hypocrite is your username on there. We can link to it in the description, everything like that. But
and shout out to him. He's one of the few who shows his face. You get automatic props and respect and clout from me if you ain't scared to stand on, you know what I'm saying, what you say.
Yeah, how'd you get started in content creation?
Oh man, it's been a long journey. I've been doing this for like 10 years, and basically, it's a long story. I'll give you like the really short version. I was kind of like a degen, liberal, druggy, promiscuous, all that stuff.
When
Got a girl pregnant, had to be a dad. Realized it was going to be a conflict to do both of them. I mean, I was a total up. I was like broke all the time and that. So I decided to like get my act together. Quit smoking weed all the time, quit playing video games all the time. And then I just had like time on my hands.
He plays video games on stream.
That's when I started making content because I saw other people doing it and making money. I was like, shit, I could do that. So that's basically how it started. And then it's been like a long journey. Like I found Jesus along the way. I became Christian. I got married. I have a family now with more kids.
Oh, it's got married. And, shout out to him.
That's the Coles note.
I didn't know that. Shout out to him.
Version.
Okay. And yeah, where would you identify yourself as being at politically at this time?
Pretty far right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has that been a bit of a journey? I guess like where did you get radicalized along this path?
You see what does that mean? He's a Christian, bro. He's a Christian. So at this point, it's gotten to the point where now, like if you're a Christian and you're considers yourself hard right, I don't think it's almost as if they like the racism just comes along with it. It's mandatory.
Yeah. So it's like I said, I started all the way progressive, normal, liberal, went to sort of the anti-SJW thing. That was kind of like the first step in 2015.
Slowly.
That was when I got into making YouTube videos and just kind of a frustration of these people are annoying, you know, all the virtue signaling, all that kind of stuff that was going on. A lot of the stuff being shoved in your face. So, and they were just kind of dumb, like a lot of the gender stuff too. A lot of the stuff they said didn't make sense. So from there, and then I started to like learn a lot about racial issues, red pills about like crime statistics, you know, Muslim terrorism was happening a lot.
Truth. That's really what it is. Call it red pill, call whatever the fuck you want. Honest, hard to swallow. Pause. Truth.
Back then, and just kept pushing me further and further to the right, basically.
Definitely. Well, so for people out there that are just tuning into this conversation for the first time and don't know about Brandon, do you affiliate yourself more with the conservative side of things as well?
Yeah, I'm more right leaning. Yeah.
And you haven't been familiar with his content until I sent you his accounts and everything?
No, never heard of him.
Okay.
You wouldn't, but let's put it to the test. Because most black people who are conservative, there's still a line. They don't venture into the more farther right. That's what I've noticed. Because most people would say, I'm far right, conservative, Christian, white supremacist. Or I'm just like, was it Larry Elder? You're the friend of white supremacist friend, or some goofy shit they made up. I'm adjacent. I'm white supremacist adjacent.
You say that in kind of a dismissive way right there.
No, I've never heard of him.
He's not making enough noise for me to pay attention
You're
to.
reading into that.
Okay.
Just never heard of him.
I'm analyzing your voice a lot today.
You see how that was, you see how he said it though? He says, no, you do. You know what the fuck he doing.
Okay.
I called you
Never heard of
Zesty
him.
right before we started too, which is problematic.
Zesty, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so, I guess we should confront this head on. When I was describing this debate, which was supposed to be with somebody else at first, when I was describing it on a previous episode of No Jumper, which I don't know if you actually caught wind of it, but I essentially referred to you as being sort of outwardly, openly racist.
Yes.
Does that seem like a true statement, or would you like to add caveats?
No, I say that I'm racist. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what it means to be racist. Like,
and that's what I mean. He's got a whole different definition. I agree with homeboy.
I have a black person over for dinner. You know what I mean? It's not like hateful. It's not like I can't be around them or anything like that. But I think that we need well, basically white people need more racial consciousness. They need to start acting like a group because all the other races do that already. And so it's just kind of to our detriment that we're the only ones playing this like blank slate egalitarianism game, and where no one's on a team. We're all Team America or whatever people want to say, but all the other races are kind of like, no, we're a team. And you see a lot of that in what's built up to this. Like the Shiloh Hendricks thing was kind of one of the catalysts for this debate. One of the catalysts for that was the Carmelo Anthony thing. You see the way a lot of people rallied around him, giving him money. There was another one that happened this week too with this Rodney Hinton Jr. guy. I don't know if you guys heard that story.
Too,
this guy, his son like stole a car, was in a police chase. The police chased him. He had a gun. The police shot him. He died. His father, Rodney Hinton Jr., got in his car, went and found an on-duty police guy and killed him. The guy had nothing to do with what happened to his son, but he just wanted to go out and like get back one of theirs kind of thing.
And then even that is a perfect example of when white people speak of your culture, this culture that y'all glorify. It ends up coming in our area. It comes, something happens to us. You can't anymore just say, go do that over there, because it's just permeated. And it's not even just black. I mean, it's like street culture. It's violence. It has been, meshed in along with black culture. It's part of it now. And old heads will make arguments justifying it, like, no. And that is what they speak of. That is what they're talking about. They don't want the crime and all the outlandish and goofy shit. And black people have such soft egos, have such are soft mentalities and fragile. Even when you just bring it up, racist, it's because I'm black and stuff. Sit down, stop, and take the emotions and feelings that have been pumped into your head, because it's not really real. All this racism and hate and white people did this and slavery and da 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 and all that is not anything that's happening now. I think these schools and these older people completely brain warped these kids, the younger generation. Even me, when I was growing up, I was always taught that all white people are racist. All white people. The question is how racist. They would say shit like that. And this is where you gotta understand the true solution to this. Both sides are so far off from the necessary, metric where they're supposed to be able to at least understand and see each other. It's going to be like this for a long time.
He's got a fundraiser now where they've raised like $50,000 from him, and they'll lie about what happened. They'll say the kid was innocent. With the Carmelo Anthony thing, they'll say, oh, he was like this grade A all-star captain of the football team, choir boy, and it's like none of it is true. You know what I mean? Or at least with the Carmelo Anthony stuff, none of it's been substantiated. So there's a lot of lying there, and it's just kind of this racial tribalism where they come together and defend their own, and white people don't do that, and it's to our detriment. But there's more and more and more white people who are getting fed up. You're going to see the word fatigue a lot in the coming days. People are starting to say, they're like, we're tired of this, we're tired of like the constant indignities. The murders is a big part, because there's a lot of murders that are black on white, and
it's the violence, period. It's the violence.
See those all the time. There's another one this week. This girl, Logan Federico, a really beautiful blonde girl, killed by just this like soulless black guy who went into her house to get her credit cards or whatever. And it hurts me, man, when I see it. It hurts me, and I've been seeing it every day for like 10 years. And I think the Shiloh Hendricks thing, that was the reason people gave her so much money, was they're sending the message of, we are getting tired of this.
No, definitely.
And here's the thing, if I'm going to be all the way correct and truthful, I'm with him on that. I have kids I'm raising as well. I don't like where this country has went. I don't like the black community, which is what it's turned into in the past. Because I say it's culture. I think this is where people kind of miss each other. They like to say the IQ thing. I don't know about all that. I don't think any race is inherently not as smart. I don't think God did that. I think he made us all. I think he made it where there's idiots in every group. But I do believe that the black community has a lot of delusion, and they've been kind of programmed to see it a certain way and not afford white people certain stipulations, certain gestures, certain things that they might give to somebody else, another black person or so. The race narrative, that mentality, that idea that it's the biggest thing, it matters some. That has just been pounded into their fucking heads. And I think that's literally what white people are. That's what they're saying. They're like, listen, there's a lot of crime has went up. Things are getting crazy. And when I look and see, okay, who's doing most of this? It's usually black people. Yeah, it is. And we're not saying every single black person, but it is majority, mostly black people. We all know this. We all know this. We can see. You know, playing this whole game. Well, the numbers and the... No, stop. Stop. Look at the music. Look at the fucking music. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how people don't get it. You know, they try to play dumb when, as you'll see within this debate, he'll, as the black person in debates like this, always try to grab and make these claims of these accomplishments that black people were supposedly, you know, the people to do it. But it got stolen and a white man took it and all this bullshit.
Feels like that scenario definitely doesn't play out the same way without the Carmelo Anthony thing fresh in people's memory, which is, you know, not to say that white people don't have some secret affinity for hurling the N-word at people on a playground, but it definitely feels like there's this kind of rise in white consciousness of their own race, where there's so many things throughout our, you know, the last, you know, throughout my life that I've observed where it's like there's tribalism allowed by everybody except for white people. They're just not allowed to express any kind of solidarity or pride in being white, right? And even you, I think, would acknowledge that, right?
No, I mean, I acknowledge it to a certain extent. I think you're very like misinformed. Dylan Roof had people trying to donate to him. Many mass shooters who are white had donations funds started, but white-owned donation vehicles like GoFundMe, GiveSend, and Go shut those down. So look at Shiloh Hendricks, for example, Kyle Rittenhouse, which I think Kyle Rittenhouse didn't do anything wrong, but there was this significant push by non-white people and white people to demonize Rittenhouse. He still was allowed to have a GoFundMe. So I believe white people kind of started that, like, you're going to do something messed up and we're going to throw our financial might behind it. So what you are, you're not even a racist, which that already makes me kind of look at you weird. There's only one race, human beings. You break us down beyond the skin, we're exactly the same.
Were you sexually abused as a teen?
How is he going to make that claim and then follow it up with all the bullshit that's about to...
If you're currently under the...
A few fast twitch muscles, slow twitch muscles might be a little different. I don't know. That's arguable. But the thing is, you're really just prejudiced. And you're...
Not on your fat ass, huh? That doesn't qualify for you, fat boy. Huh? Huh? Where your muscles at? Huh?
Really blaming, you're punching down on black people because you're disillusioned with things that your race has created, or you're ethnic. That's what you're doing. You're ethnocentric. But we'll just say racist for the sake of this video. Sure. So you're disillusioned with the way your race has manipulated things because it doesn't work in favor of a significant segment of your race. Black people have been throwing your people alley-oops since 500-600 years ago. Literally, the only reason you were able to have slaves, which built this country, and I'm not saying in the fact that we just did the physical labor, but created an economy that was strong enough to immediately compete with the world powers because you had a unpaid labor force working in the fields, working in factories. Black people in Africa went into interior of Africa and got those slaves for you because you guys couldn't survive for 3 days in the interior of Africa. That's a fact. We brought those slaves to the coast, so all you had to do was load them up. And
no, they were going to the... What do you mean they couldn't afford... They couldn't be in the middle of Africa? They didn't want to be in the middle of Africa. They found a new place. And then they were going to use slaves like everybody else. This whole point is moot, right? Everybody has... This is, again, another issue. Constantly coming at it from this idea of white people are the only people that ever had slaves. It's like they get more hate for having slaves in general, like everybody else, but zero credit for actually being the first to actually not do it, actually decide, hey, this is wrong. Like, and it even alluded to it in you know, in our government document, Declaration of Independence, and all the Bill of Rights, all those, you know. So come on, knock it off with the whole idea that slavery being so impactful now. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it.
And take them to wherever you want them to go. That's called an alley oop. Us doing something for you that benefited you. Would you argue that point?
I would argue several of
No,
the
because
things that
we're
you said
Americans
there.
No,
too.
specifically the alley oop part,
Yes,
where blacks
yes,
went into the interior of Africa, got slaves, brought them to the. We were complicit, but we brought those slaves to the coast, which made it easier for you to take them and profit from their labor.
I would not
So because you brought them to the coast, what is that?
argue that black people enslaved their own people and sold them to white people. I would not argue that. That definitely happened.
Right.
I would argue that it wasn't as big of a deal in terms of turning America into a superpower as you're trying to claim. Africans also enslaved each other, had slaves in Africa. It never turned Africa into a superpower having slaves. There were slaves all over the world, basically.
It's just the beginning of time.
So really, like picking cotton, there wasn't even that many slaves who were brought to America. So I just don't really think, like, I don't look around.
And the ones that did come, they were owned by rich people, super rich people. I've heard people talk about how there were white slaves too. And I remember this one guy was making the idea that slavery could have been anybody. They say that this idea that was just about black people being, they're like, no, if you were even poor, if you, anybody could go around and end up being a slave. You know, you can't do this, can't do that, can't protect yourself. You can't go in the barn, nigga. You live in the barn now, nigga. A white guy. So, you know, and even if you grant that, whatever, grant slavery, where's the obvious impact? Where is it? Because black people were doing best at their best in like the 1950s, after slavery, after Jim Crow, with a little bit of racism, you know, and we've regressed. So, and see, niggas don't even want to admit that. What do you mean by regrets? How do you spell it? What do you mean? Can you use it in a sentence?
At the civilization, Western civilization, and think, oh, wow, I owe this to black people.
But I'm not saying you owe us anything. What I'm saying is you're very ignorant, because when you say race, you're talking about a bunch of people all over the world. Your ancestors came from Europe. Mm-hmm. So you have a very narrow view of the situation. And that's probably because you spent more time being a junkie than actually studying this shit.
What?
I'm being real with you. When you
what? I was like, oh yeah, maybe he won't do ad hominem. What the fuck, bro? He pulled that out of left field. Damn. Wow, that's up. I know Fat Boy with diabetes loading. That's what he needs. That shit. Diabetes loading. That loading. That's what he needs. Buffering. Diabetes. Buffering. The nerve of him. You know, but you see the aggressive, like, nature and the kind of demeanor. You know, aggressive yelling. This is what that. And my man's just chilling. He's just chilling. You know, holding, you know, stoic, chill. And this is what tends to happen because a lot of black men are super emotional. They're in their feelings. They were raised by single mothers. The masculinity and the person that's supposed to teach you how to then, if not there, you get this where you're just calling people out their names and you can't have a adult conversation.
Say race.
You were a junkie? You've done more research than myself, I think.
You did say you were doing
messed
drugs.
around with drugs, but a
Yeah,
junkie
You're a
is kind of
junkie. I
extreme,
never touched
right?
drugs.
Yeah,
I never smoked weed. I never
Mostly
drank a
weed,
beer.
but okay.
Listen, I never
so
smoked
what?
weed, never drunk a beer, never smoked a cigarette.
Okay.
If you did that, you are a junkie as far as I'm concerned. I'll tell Les she's a fucking
cigarette?
junkie. I don't care. What I'm telling
And right there, you just showcased for all of us how your emotions, you're already in your feelings. You're already in your feelings, making shit, I don't care. I don't care. When the nigga starts yelling, I don't care, he's lost himself. He's lost himself.
you is, if I haven't done it, you listen, you decide to play in this arena because you're talking about racial superiority.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. So what I'm telling you is
Talk.
the race is more than just in your country. So would you say that slavery had no benefit to the
No.
colonial or imperialism of white people?
I mean, in the long run, it had
With
a
his-
huge.
No benefit to the colonial or so what I'm telling you is
What'd he say?
the race is more than just in your country. So would you say that slavery had no benefit to the colonial or imperialism of white people?
I mean, in the long run,
No benefit. Who said that? Who said that? Have faith. Right off the jump. You can't even, you know what I'm saying? Nigga don't know what grace is, nigga. My God. So you're saying there were no slaves? So you're saying racism doesn't exist ever? Is that what you're saying? No, nigga. What the fuck's wrong with you? Jesus.
it had a huge negative effect.
No, I'm talking about initially. So the white empire
The West.
did not benefit in any significant way from slavery.
It had probably a
course they
small
did.
benefit to the small people who owned slaves who personally.
You mean the
Of course it did, but didn't do everything.
Queen of England, the king too? That's what I'm saying. Your view is very
What are you talking
in any
about?
significant way from slavery.
It had probably a small benefit to the small people who owned slaves who personally.
You mean the Queen of England, the king too? That's what I'm saying. Your
Not the
view
only
is
people.
very narrow.
Almost 4,000 enslaved Africans were brought directly to what is now the United States from Africa during the transatlantic
You said
slave.
But what he
4,000?
said about race encompasses more than just America, because you're not just the white
He's on his heels.
empire. White
He's on his
empire
heels.
did not benefit in any significant way from slavery.
It had probably a small benefit to the small people who owned slaves who personally.
You
The
mean
elites.
the Queen of England,
The
king
elites.
too?
The elites.
That's what I'm saying. Your view is very narrow.
Almost 4,000 enslaved Africans were brought directly to what is now the United States from Africa during the transatlantic slave
But
trade.
what he said about
And this is how you ask the question. You ask the black dude, you say, are you saying that if because he's trying to say that the white dude is saying there's no benefit. No ever. What was it? I had it in the back. Oh, just like well, he's basically saying, oh, this is where you ask him, did the serfs benefit from slavery? Who benefited from slavery back in the day when it was occurring? Are you trying to say that the regular white people who were serfs, they benefited as well too?
of white people.
They didn't have.
I mean, in the
no
long
fucking
run, it had a
slaves.
huge negative effect.
No, I'm talking about initially. So the white empire did not benefit in any significant way from slavery.
It had probably a small benefit to the small
course it did.
people who owned slaves who personally.
You mean the Queen of England, the king too? That's what I'm saying. Your view is very narrow.
Almost
Oh, is he saying
4,000
that
enslaved
only-
Africans were brought directly to what is now the United States from Africa during the transatlantic slave
But
trade.
what he said about race encompasses more than just America, because you're not just America.
No, we're only talking about America. No, we're not bringing in that extra shit. No, if you want to use it as an analogy, go right ahead. But that's not the focus, nigga. The focus is America. America is not like all the other countries. And plus, I know, just like me, you cannot recite their history thoroughly. Okay? So you know what the fuck's been going on in Brazil or Peru or whatever the fuck. Even Canada, nigga. See, dumb niggas like that, you gotta shut them down. Because they'll just They just keep, diarrhea of the mouth, and it's because, this he has this idea he can take over the conversation and become the alpha full-blown leader of the conversation. But instead of creating a great answer for a great conversation, gets in his emotions and starts, making all kinds of claims and passive aggressively trying to shit on. You know what I'm saying? This is what these people don't need to be on here asking these questions, because they make everything 20 times worse. They're not good faith. Don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just, there's no new ideas. There's no new innovative, ideas, things, thoughts, and no. We're gonna regurgitate what Whoopi Goldberg said last Thursday on The View. That's what we're gonna do. I only got like 10 minutes. Damn. I'm gonna do it number 2 with this, but let's
American, where do you descend from in Europe?
Oh, the vast majority were sent to South America and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Only about 3% of that total. Oh, around almost 400,000. Yeah.
But do you know who owned
I would
those
say
plantations
4,000.
in South America and the Caribbean? White people.
Okay.
So I'm asking you, you're trying to minimize the impact of slavery, but you're
Israel.
talking about race. When you say race, you're going beyond the boundaries of America. You're telling me
No, you're not.
that the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the French Empire, they didn't benefit in any significant way from all those sugar plantations in the Caribbean, all those freaking banana plantations.
Why does he keep reciting something that nobody said?
in
Nobody
South
said
America. They
there's
didn't benefit
no.
from none of
Well,
that.
no, of course they benefited from the plantations
In a major
and
way?
the trade. Yes, but the thing is,
okay.
those wouldn't exist without the white people who went and made them. That's the whole thing. Like all that wealth that was sitting there in Haiti and Jamaica, white people went and were like, we know how to extract this and how to turn it into something. Otherwise, it would just be sitting there.
And they wouldn't exist without the Africans who went into the interior of Africa to capture slaves and bring them to the border like a drive-through.
Yeah, but let's
Isn't that an ingenious plot?
So let's thank them turning on their own people. And what are you talking? What the? Of course, yeah, they brought them to the coast. Okay, so what? But they still took them. And anyway, who can? This is not like a huge plus. Okay, it happened. So what? Let's move forward. Stop so much focusing on the past, niggas. Knock it off with the past, bro. Okay? Move forward. Look forward. We have a youth, and kids, you know what I'm saying, to kind of focus on. You niggas do not. And it's sad, but the black community, part of one of the, I would say, in the mentality, the idea of families and how they look and perceive families within the currently in the black community is horrid. And this is why until you address this, the fact that the nuclear family with God, husband, wife, patriarchy, whatever okay? Men as the leaders. Men are the leaders. We have been led by women for the past 20, 30 years or something. Okay? Men have exited the family. Women think they can raise kids or boys into men. They cannot. And this is part of the issue.
Hatched by these evil white people, to be fair.
But the point I'm arguing is he's trying to minimize the contribution black people have made to everything white people, most of the things
What did he
white people
say?
have done that are significant. And I'm saying, no, everywhere you find a successful white person, there was a black person who also in many ways was benefiting, but who basically threw them the alley-oop.
What the bro, guess what? The numbers don't even match that. It can't. We're only 15% of the population. That's being generous. 15%. Okay? They're what? 70s, they're majority right now. I know they're sinking hard, but as of right now, they're the majority, and they always have been considerably. That's so your numbers don't even match up, money. Wherever there was a white guy, there was some black guy behind them. Just knock that shit off, bruh. This is what I mean. This isn't sincere. If I went to a debate and somebody was making these kind of claims or these kind of arguments, I'd be like, "Are you serious? Like, this is so disingenuous." So it's all feelings and emotional arguments from Big Boy over here.
I'll give you another example. If you I thought you want to say something.
Let's focus on that one first, before we do more examples.
Two things real quick. Think about it logically. If millions and millions of slaves went to South America, went to Brazil mostly, places around there, and the slaves were so beneficial, those places should be the big superpowers because they had more slaves. The slaves are not really the big deciding factor.
That's a good point.
America became the superpowers because they had the best white people basically who made the country. That's first of all.
To the best white people, I think y'all all are, they're kind of the same. But America had freedom, had people that were truly all on the same page about creating a place with freedom and has small government, and the people are truly in charge, and basically creating your own opportunity. Through that, America has been kind of labeled and has been, known for opportunity and entrepreneurial type ship and being able to, kind of make it on your own. And this is why it pains me when black people make these race arguments, all this. I'm like, we are afforded the same opportunities, more, because all of us are from here. And we complain and make excuses about race and all this. Bro, come on. I know they're full of shit because when I was coming up and I was in like the 90s to the early 2000s, race it was almost out of here. We didn't really bring it up. Wasn't this big thing? Especially to the youth. Now they don't it all up and dropped a race bomb on the whole population, and now black people and white people are all fucking hopped up on racism.
Second of all, whenever you get into these racial conversations, it always turns into, let's talk about history. Let's talk about 400 years ago, because black people don't want to talk about what's happening right now. The stuff I just brought up with the murders, and there's a whole bunch more things I'm happy to bring up. People don't want to talk about that because it's way harder to defend. We want to go back 300 years and be like, what happened? What happened there?
Believe me, we're getting there, but I'm not going to negate or...
No. See, that's what I mean. Bad faith. Get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. We're getting there. No, that is there. That is the issue. Stop avoiding it. We don't need a history lesson from your ass, nigga. Okay? We don't need to know. This ain't Black History Month. Okay? Okay, nigga? Okay? We don't want to hear it. Okay? Let's see when. And then they've created this kind of atmosphere and environment where there's acceptable and non-acceptable things and stances to take. Like if you have a black family, let's say I have two black families, right? My dad's side, my mom's side. And let's say growing up, they're both black, but there's certain things that can't happen in both of those. They're different. One's from South, one's from North, but there are certain, basically things that black people have that are, known throughout the whole community, right? And one of those things is, at the very least, question, side eye, don't trust white people. White people are racist. White people, something happens, da 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 da. Black person gets cornered, got caught into stuff. Oh, it's because I'm black. How often? Come on now. Everybody knows. Motherfuckers do pull that shit all the time. It's a fucking joke, bro. Come on now. Something happens and no, no, no. You're like, oh, it's because I'm black. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I've done it before when I was younger. I did it. Okay. Might did it once, twice. You know what I'm saying? Stuck in a rat. Oh, it's because I'm black. That's why he did. He called me the N-word. That's the dreaded. Yeah. That whole atmosphere, this idea that there's a word we can't say, and da da da, and there's all these race relations. We've basically created this atmosphere where white people have to walk on eggshells, black people say what they want, and then when 2020 happened, it was really like enforced, very much so. And black people have used that as a crutch, and they won't just admit that, yeah, you know what, yeah, our shit's fucked up. I'm saying the family situation, it's all fucked up. I'm saying our kid, this and that is fucked up. Yeah, maybe, we probably might glorify some or think it's acceptable. Violence in certain instances is acceptable when it's not within society. People always talk about how, everybody's free as long as nobody gets hurt. Everybody should be able to live how they want to live in society, do what that Satanist shit, the do out what thou wilt and all that shit. And when I was coming up, I used to always believe that. But then you realize people, you gotta put some levels on, because people, nut ass people, will overdo it and then make a decision where that decision, kind of ruffles off and affects other people in that orbit. So when a woman decides to have a child, the man doesn't want it to be in the child's life. The man leaves. The child grows up, is raised by the mom, never to know its dad, and down the road ends up robbing this white dude over here who's from on the other side of town, your son, because he grew up in a single mother household. The numbers are the numbers. And he ends up affecting somebody who lives on the other side of town, who moves to get away from this stuff, who doesn't like to be around that kind of stuff. And when expressed, when white people say this, like, you're racist. You're racist. They're racist. They're trying to be safe. They're telling themselves the truth. You can't make yourself safe if you're moving off a lie. The fact remains is that the black community is, a lot of the things that have been normalized should have not been. We're moving on a path which is negative, which should be condemned, which should be shamed. Okay? We have normalized all kinds of nonsense. And again, the number one thing, family. If you are an influencer or a person, a black person who is pro-black, or you want to speak on behalf of black people, and you want black people to do better, and that is your main goal. If that's you, and that's the road you want to go down. If your first and most important issue isn't the family, isn't fixing broken families, if that's not the first thing that's on top of the list, then you're full of shit and you're not serious about actually doing it. Because at this point, it's so blatant, it's so overt. And niggas come in like this and regurgitate this racism, white people did this to me bullshit. holds black people back. I'm gonna show you the comments too after this. The comments is exactly what I'm saying. What I mean. They're calling and him, this guy, he's the host, Adam. They calling him racist because he's probably chimed in a couple times. And like, oh, he going against the black guy. He a racist.
Ignore the historical context because I know that you haven't really considered these things. But what I'm telling you is most of the money made on those plantations went back to the European countries that the people who owned them descended from. They paid tax to the crown. They had their main abodes back in their home nation. What I'm telling you is this: the reason America did so well economically is because we were the last people to outlaw slavery. So it makes sense that America economically rose above the rest of the European nations because like 1810, before 1810, Britain outlawed slavery and said, if you get caught moving slaves, we're going to destroy your ships. Well, guess what?
You're welcome.
The Americans continued to sneak slaves in, and they also did something called the intra-American slave trade, where they start moving slaves around between the Caribbean and in America.
Yes, because they pulled something away from them that was they were used to. That was a notch in how the economy and how things worked. So when you pull that out, they got to find different ways, or they just got to, cheat and, break the law. I mean, are you saying that the breaking of the law is racist? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Come on. It's it's goofy. America was one of the first. We fought a fucking war over slavery and states' rights. Like, what are you talking about? Like when they niggas bring up Civil War, like we fought in the Civil War. Good. Yes, you were supposed to, nigga. This is your country too. Like, what? You like make these inferences that it's just like white people's country, but then you want to say it's like, which one is it, nigga? Like,
so if you hold your slaves the longest, so you gotta have a free labor source the longest, that means you're gonna be able to profit from those slaves the longest, which will what? Bolster your economy. Adam, for example, you're a business owner. You own a business?
Technically, but I don't have employees.
Okay, Adam has employees. Adam, imagine a guy with no jumper, west across the street. He doesn't have to pay any of his hosts. He has no overhead. Everyone's just showing up working for free. In the realm of capitalism, would he not have a significant advantage over you economically because you have to pay everybody?
Sure, yeah.
Even provide health insurance in some cases if you have a certain amount. So we're not going to eliminate or negate the.
But that's not everybody. You're picking out the exception now. Most people didn't have that. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? See, these niggas let them slide with bullshit. Like, I mean, come on now. That's not the norm. The norm was, hey, nigga, I'm broke just like you broke. The fuck are you talking about?
The fact that America had a major alley-oop from black people in two ways. We not only brought the slaves to the coast of Africa for you to take them wherever, we also inside of America worked for free.
That's like that. That's a check mark. That's a check. That's a point because you brought them to the coast. Like, what are you talking about? It's not like these niggas knew where they're gonna meet. Or we're gonna meet on the 3rd at the coast, like, or they just land. Oh, hey, you want to buy a nigga? Yeah, I'll buy a whole bunch. Yeah, just. And see, this is also all depending on the idea and the idea that all the mainstream claims and the mainstream timeline is correct, right? In my case, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change my point, but yeah, I gotta get going. I gotta go get my mom. My mom, she's leaving in a couple days. She's gonna stay with me for the rest of the week. She just bought a Maserati. Yes, my mom. She just bought a Maserati. She had one before. That shit got left on bricks in off 6 Mile like 6 Mile in Woodward, I think, in Detroit, right where my grandma used to live. She parked it. It's just, that's the hood, right? That's the hood. I remember when I took my kids there, they were like, "Oh, there's some kids outside. Like, we're gonna go play football." I was like, "Oh yeah, go play, go play." I remember turning to my brother and be like, "Oh, them hood niggas about to." They came back like, "Oh, I'm sore." They were tackling hard. I think he headbutted me in the spine. Yeah, headbutt. But yeah, no, my mom's she's got a she just bought a Maserati. Her shit got stolen, and then insurance, and she's got another one. Not really my cup of tea. We're gonna finish this. I'm gonna come back. I know I've been talking a lot watching this, but you should really.
For a significant time longer than European slaves, which bolstered the American economy.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that big. I think you're blowing it way out of proportion. We can agree to disagree on that.
No, so we can fast forward in history. 183,000 African American troops served in the Civil War. The North could not have won without those black. Well, they were African, and they weren't even Americans yet.
Probably you don't know that, but I mean, probably so. You know, that seems okay.
Soldiers. Even Lincoln admitted to that. What's the other guy?
You're an American. So what's the problem? What's the point? What's your point?
His name?
I'm already mad at black people.
Ulysses Grant. No, Ulysses Grant admitted to that. Ulysses S. Grant admitted to that.
Yeah.
Those black battalions were a crucial part of the North maintaining the Union and submitting the Confederacy. So everywhere you turn in history, if you're honest, Spanish-American War, again, you guys is immunity. Your
And see, this is why are you looking at it like that? This is the problem. Like, we're all American, and you're like, you have this attitude, this arrogance. You know what I'm saying? Of you wouldn't have did it without us, like bow down type shit. It's like, are you fucking insane? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't expect another person. I wouldn't expect another person. Now, that's why I get like I hear shit like that. I'm like, you know, now I hear why motherfuckers called you the N-word, motherfucker with the hard R. And you getting on my damn nerves, nigga. Like, you know, and that's the thing is that the black community has like a pact, and you know, go against or say anything or you know challenge or try to hold accountable us as a